Rowena Dooley asking Seoul citizens to report for duty. Rowena Dooley asking Seoul citizens to report for duty.
And greetings, welcome back to Soul Voices. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, and we are happy to see you guys here. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I have no idea, Fast Cart, what it is you're sending me, so you're going to have to either come in the room and talk to me real quick and let me know what that's about, because I have no idea what it is you're saying. Oh, let's see. Who's a Standard Dev? Thank you so much for that sub. You are the man. Thank you, Standard. Hey, good conversation with you today, man. I know we went a little deep, but thanks for hanging in there with us. It was good stuff. Maybe we got through. It was, I know you're all. He's always think never more, but hopefully we got through. Anyway, hi everybody. I'm Griffin Gaming RPG, and we are here to have our one-on-one conversation with those of you in the Star Citizen community about subjects that we picked from Spectrum, Reddit, and the gaming industry. And today, we're really focusing in on Spectrum. Reddit didn't have a lot of stuff. You know, things are kind of in limbo right now. I think you guys already know that. It's kind of not stagnant, but you know, nothing's happening, right? We're kind of stuck with a broken 3.18.2, and at the same time, kind of anticipating 3.19. So there's a little bit of excitement there. We saw a really good ISC return this week, and we saw some really cool stuff with the Lorville. Fastcart covered that on Thursday, and that was pretty exciting for those of you who are interested in Lorville on Hurston. Ender, good to see you, buddy. Look like you guys were having fun last night. I didn't get to stick through the whole alien fire team thing, but you guys were having a good time. Yeah, we kind of in this like really weird space right now. I don't know if we just given up on 3.18.2 or what. Some people can play it. It's not so good. You know, it's in a weird space, right? You can go in and play it if you want, but you know, enter at your own risk. You know, beware all ye who enter. So anyway, oh, thank you, Fast Cart. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I'll tackle it. Yes, I will. Thank you for the reminder. So we're going to be talking about stuff from Spectrum today. And Fast Cart just reminded me about something that he and I talked about a couple of days ago that was on Twitter. So I'm going to drop that in as well. But in the meantime, His Divine Shadow. Oh my God. Thank you, HDS, for those 5 community subs. Thank you so much. And thank you again for being on with us last week on our show, The Camera Eye. We got to get the debut of His Divine Shadow. He was a really great guest and shared some really beautiful work that he has done doing digital imaging. in the game. So we're going to go ahead and jump forward and talk about stuff today. I'm hoping you guys, by the way, if you want to come in and talk with me one-on-one, there's a link that will pop up in chat. Feel free to do that. You'll go to our green room and you get to come in and share your thoughts. This isn't really about what Griff has to say. I will give my thoughts, but we really want to hear from those of you who are in the Star Citizen community when it comes to the topics that we're going to be covering. So we're going to be covering the title for today's show, and I just showed it a second ago, was the top 10 fix-it list. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because that's going to be the final thing, because that's where I really need you guys' input. But we're going to open up with the very first topic here. And I kind of laughed at this because we joke around about this topic a lot, but it's actually a reality. I'm finding that out. I was sharing with some friends today that today is my 10th year anniversary as a backer of Star Citizen. I did start paying attention to it in 2018. I remember when I was told about it by a good friend of mine who I used to play Eve with. And when I came in, it was like the last week of it was either the final week of the stick Kickstarter. And I'm talking about the second Kickstarter, not the original one. So it was late October or mid-October, whatever date it was. It was either like the week of or the week after was when I first found out about it. And back in 2012, I wasn't really up on the whole Kickstarter thing for games. I knew about independent gamers and doing it, but I just really wasn't feeling it, for lack of a better term. And I went to the website, and like a lot of people, I got scared, saw the prices for what they were asking for certain things. And I was kind of like, and unfortunately, I hate to say it this way, but the ships that I could afford, well, it's not that I couldn't afford more, but that I was willing to spend money on, such as the Aurora, I wasn't impressed. Let's just say it that way. I wasn't impressed. So I didn't bite, right? I stayed out of it. I said, nah, I don't think this is for me. I'll just keep an eye on it, which is what I did. But I ended up coming back later on in 2013, the beginning of 2013, started doing a little bit more research because I was getting really upset with Eve. And I started kind of catching the vision, right? And I decided to jump in. So this first question is kind of like with springboards from people who've been around for a while. Maybe if you're new, you might feel this way too, but we're going to hit this one. This is from Vanishing Ice 45. First topic for this week is CIG's future and inheritance. I think Fast Car will drop the link in for you guys. And this is what it says. It says, considering how long it's taking to get 2 star systems, what is CIG's plan for the future generations of CIG? The players do not want to be left with an unfinished game when it's steadily improving. There are hundreds of stars to create and features to implement. What could take 10 to 20 more years? The project must go on. Has CIG been looking for others to pass on the torch? Would we like it if the project wasn't shut down because nobody was left to take over? Or is this something serious to consider? So I want to put this as a question because I've talked about this before. Does CIG, have they created an infrastructure? You're not wishing anything bad on anyone, obviously. But has CIG created an infrastructure that says that if something were to happen to the visionaries, Chris Roberts, Aaron, whoever, that they could continue the vision of the game, not just continue building the game, but continue the vision of the game that Chris Roberts envisioned. Maybe he gets sick, right? Who knows? But the question becomes, what happens? Now, let's say this. Star Citizen isn't the first game that's going to have been around for a long time. There are other games, Warcraft, Eve, even a lot of the Bethesda games. Some of the same people that worked on Bethesda 15, 20 years ago are still there. Same thing could happen with this. But the question is, do they think that CIG has worked out a plan for the future of this game so that the game will, maybe make sure it gets passed on to other people beyond us, right? I'm going to be hitting 60 this year. I'm scary. Oh my God. I was 50 years old when I started. And there are some realities that I'm getting older, right? I know people who are much older than I am that are still backing this game, but will I be around 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years from now to see this game in its full? I think that the game could be full within just a few years. And when I say by full, I mean fully playable, maybe with 4 or 5 systems, right? And we have everything in it to play the game well. But you know, as time goes on, they keep adding systems, they keep adding other things, other alien races, other gameplay. So the game could go 10, 15 years. And I think CIG is looking to do that. I don't look at it as 20 years from now, the game is finished. I look from it as saying this game will continue to expand and build over a 10-year, 15, 20-year period. So let me bring in Pops in Space because he was the first one in line today. And let's see what Pops has to say and thinks about this idea of future-proofing CIG and the vision of Star Citizen and I guess Squadron 42. Pops, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
All right, cool. Yeah. Girl, I actually thought about this question that you asked about what would happen to Chris Roberts. Because this is not well, oh my goodness. Let me untie my lips and Bethesda or what's some of the other big ones? Well, but you know what I'm saying anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it was a company he started, you know, moving forward. And you're exactly right. The price of the ships. And I'm like, this is a new company. I didn't know Chris Roberts before this, but I also did, like you know, I did look into Ashes of Creation, which they were a new company. And I don't know. Well, I guess the price of Ashes of Creation was different. It wasn't as much. I think I'd have to be corrected by my son, but I think Ashes of Creation was, I want to say 500 for a lifetime. But the prices of the ships, and you're exactly right, the prices of the ships that I saw, I think it was the Aurora, didn't turn me on. And so we're eye to eye on that. And I'm like, nah, I kind of, you know, put this on the back shelf and heard a lot of negative responses to it. So me and you are together on that. But more to Chris Roberts' situation. And my question to you, to help me answer the question, is this is it a corporation now?
Yes,
or they're full.
No. They're a full company, you know, corporation with a board of directors, the whole nine yards, right? And even though we talk about Chris is the visionary, but he had partners when they started this. One of them actually is their lawyer. God, his name just flew off my tongue. I was getting ready to say it and it flew off.
Yeah.
But there were a few people around him who helped bring this on board, right? And Aaron, who worked on, who was really known for what he did, the Lego Star Wars stuff and whatnot. You know, they've both been big in the industry for a long time. He brought Aaron in, and like you've seen those people who surround him, like Brian Chambers. Brian came in later, but I'm trying to think of the other two guys. Jesus, how come I'm having a brain fart here with the guys? Who are the department directors, guys? It's Sean Tracy and I'm trying to think of the other guy's name.
Tony?
Who's the other guy? No, not Tony.
Tony?
Tony
No,
Zervik is Tony was there too. But I'm trying to think of the other guy, not Ben, HDS. Ben kind of came in from the community side, not Brian. No, not the lawyer. I mean, I mentioned the lawyer earlier. Not Aaron. No, Morty. Everybody's naming everybody except for the other person I'm talking about. The other guy who does who's over the PU. Sean Tracy and the other guy, guys. The guy with the funny eyes.
Okay.
I can't think of his name. Anyway, my point is, these are the guys who've been around for a long time. And I think that the vision of the game has been definitely transferred over to them. They know what Chris wants, is what I'm saying, right? No, not Chambers, not Chambers. They know what he wants at this point. And Todd Pappy, thank you, BBG. Thank
Todd.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, with an eye, Yeah, so there you go. I think that they have transferred that over, but I think this is a legitimate question. I can understand why people, when we start thinking about the scope of the game, right, that it could go 10, 15 years, and will it be the game that we've been looking for, right? So yes, to answer your question, yes, there is a group. It's not just Chris. You know, Chris is the visionary. He's the head. He's the CEO. But there are other people there that are working, and you know, over this 10-year period, who very much know what the project is supposed to be.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I've asked, because it because I was leaning more than 99.999% that it's a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a corporation set up, they have backers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a plan in effect, because these backers are not going to put millions of dollars in a project.
Right.
That is, if one person that unfortunately passes away, the project dies because they're not going to invest in it.
What was the old
like
statement?
that.
What was the old statement, Pops? One monkey don't stop. There was no show. How did it go?
Exactly.
Right? Exactly.
And exactly. And that was to my point that I just wanted to throw out there on the table. So
good point.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Pops.
All right.
All righty. Let's bring in, let's see who we got next. We got Fist to Face. Let's bring in Fist to Face. Uh-oh, I jumped out of there myself. My crazy self.
Hello.
There we go. How you doing, buddy?
How are you, man?
Good. What you got?
I have to say, I mean, there's probably gonna be a lot of echoing in what Pops just said. Because I've thought of the same thing. I'm just hopefully that, one of the things that always concerns me is that, even though, so let's say hypothetically something does happen and passed on to the next person, and you just hopefully that next person isn't influenced by someone, to then put the game into a publisher's hands.
Well, let me say this. I'll tell you why I don't think that you ever have to worry about that. One reason why is because there's no need to. The reason why you get a publisher is what? Money.
Right.
That's it, right? I mean, they give you the upfront money to do what you want to do.
Correct.
And I don't think that CIG, I think they've proven that that's not necessary, that it's still one of the industry standard ways that people do it. But what they would lose in the sense of freedom, like all the stuff that we dealing with,
right?
If there was a publisher, you and I both know that wouldn't happen. Of course,
because that does scare me. Of course, I mean, it's just always something that you kind of think of because, we know right now, to our understanding, who holds the reins. Of it, you know what I mean, and I'm glad that Mr. Roberts has the reins, that because he's, from what I've heard from the stories that you guys have told me coming as a newcomer, explaining to me that he's not kowtowing to a publisher or anyone out there because he wants the game to be the way he wants the game to be. And he knows that. And I just hope, and I said, I'm just saying, I'm hoping that those that come along the line, have that same vision, because, I mean, let's be honest, we are human, and as well as understanding, money does, play a big factor in a lot of things. And we don't know what the foreseeable future is as far as what finances will come and what, let's say when a game does come out, and let's say we're well into year 5 or something like that, and numbers start to dip.
Yep. Well, let me tell you the other thing the publishers do. Other than upfront money for development, they also do what we look at as the marketing. That's what they do. They publish the game to get it out, right? And that's everything from advertising and marketing to making sure the game gets distributed in whatever forms you may want to take. Because back in the day, publishers are the ones that made sure that your game got, in boxes in stores and all that other stuff.
Right.
But that dynamic of publishing has changed dramatically, right, over the years. So I think right now CIG has positioned themselves in some really cool ways. One of the ways that we don't think about, even from a publishing standpoint, is Amazon. We think about Amazon from the aspect of servers and game, but there's also, look at Amazon's aspect of distribution. So if they just want to distribute through Amazon, you don't have to go get nobody else to distribute. You know what I mean?
And that's a good thing. And I mean that's a good thing to look at.
Yeah.
You did, but just kind of saying my piece as far as the voice that's in the back of your head, and saying, that little concerning voice that says, well, what ifs.
Yeah, it's always, anything's a possibility. Like you said, anything's a possibility. But I think they've positioned themselves enough that those fears could be alleviated. Anything could happen. Anything could happen.
Anything, right.
But I think that they've made some wise decisions. And I'm sure they have enough people in that group that are not thinking about what's happening this year, next year. They're thinking about 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the line,
Well, right. And we often have that conversation about, how are they going to generate income because they've already discussed and talked about once the game goes live, they're stopping the sale of ships.
Well, nope.
Well, is that right?
Nope.
I'm wrong.
Let me.
Okay, I'm wrong.
No, you're half right. You're half right.
I'm half right. Okay.
What they've
wait
implied.
a minute.
I've
never heard of a half right.
No, here's the half right. Here's your half right. Here's your half truth. Okay, your half truth.
Okay.
You will still be able to come in through starter packages and things like that.
Okay.
The question is whether or not the bigger ships and things like that, like right now we just buy standalones and things like that, whether that will still continue may be the issue. They may still do an annual sale, right? Who knows, right? I think what they were trying to get people to see was that the business model of buying ships has way more to do with development than continuation of the game. But we'll see. We'll see.
Right. And
we'll
that's always what I'm just trying to think of.
Yes, sir. I hear you. Okay. Good stuff, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All righty. All right. Good answers, guys. So, yeah, we hope that CIG has future-proofed themselves. I would think they've got enough smart people around the table. And thanks again. I don't remember who it was, if it was Shady or who. Someone said, don't forget Sandy. Yes, Sandy also is in there as well as far as those folks on the board. Also, fits to your another point. A few years ago, I don't know why I'm having so many brain farts today. Somebody here may remember the name. The Calder family. The Calder family, is that it? Investors put up money to CIG specifically for marketing and advertising. So that money would be there, so that when it's time to do distribution, they've already got the funds in place. So once again, eliminating the need for the publisher to be able to assist in that area. They'll have their own money to do that. Okay, good way to kick off the show today, guys. Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into number 2, which I've got to remember what number 2 is myself. Oh, I know what this is. Why no 3.18.2 AUEC wipe by AUNLINE? Okay, now I'm going to preface this one, so I always got a little background to these questions. So 3.18.0 and 3.18.1 had well-known exploit many players were doing. These individuals are now reporting that they were not wiped, but instead given $50 million AUEC if they exploited more than 50 million AUEC. Why was the decision not made to wipe everyone's AUEC to the starting AUEC of this subpatch? Okay. Now, let me tell you why I grabbed this particular post. Some of you all know that when 3.18.2 came out, there was an expectation of a wipe. Everybody kept telling people, they're going to wipe, they're going to definitely wipe the game when 3.18.2 comes out, because they did it at 3.18.1 when people didn't expect it. 3.18.0. Then 18 came around when they told people that they weren't going to wipe, and they did do a wipe, which freaked everybody out. 3.18.2 comes out, and everybody's thinking, they'll probably do a wipe again, and they didn't do a wipe. And this person, I don't know if this is true or not. If it is, I know why it is, or at least I think I know why. They're saying that those people who did the exploits, there was some stuff you could do with the kiosk that you could exploit and multiply your money, and there was some other things that people could even do, I think, with the wallet. And what they're saying is that these people, when 3.18.2 came out, not only did they not get wiped, but the money that they got back from CIG was the 50 million that they had. They didn't lose the money. They got the money, right? Now, I remember a few patches back when CIG tried to do that thing with giving people money, and it didn't work out. Remember, they gave people money. Some people didn't get it. It was a big fiasco about that. Then they took it away. They did all types of weird stuff. But I remember them saying that they were implementing some algorithm, something that would calculate what each player had in their account. And that was always what was going to be restored to you. So if your average amount was $375,000, regardless of what you made or lost, whenever they would do a reset, that would kind of kick back in. Now, I don't know if they ever implemented that or not, but it sounds like what this person's talking about might be that. I don't know whether or not people have had money put back. If somebody in the chat knows, then that's fine. So here's my point, though. And I'm trying to figure this out a little bit. What is the big deal with AUEC? I'm just going to put it that way, right? It's phony money. It's not the money that we're going to be playing with. And we all know that it's going to come and go. Now, don't get me wrong. I can understand if you've been grinding and you know, maybe you don't own several ships. Maybe you own just a few. And your way of playing the game to get the ships you want is to grind and make that AUEC and, get that C2 because you want to go do such and such. I get it. But I also say to myself, what's the big deal when you've got 50 million AUEC? Because when you have that much money, maybe you've bought a few ships earlier, but so what? Once you've gotten to a certain point with having so much AUEC, a lot of times people get to a point where they start giving away the money because there's nothing to work for anymore. They've got all this money. I mean, you can buy a lot of components and things like that, and you can buy a few ships. But what difference is it to me that someone else got that money and didn't? I don't know. That's just me, guys. I don't know. When I get a wipe, I get a wipe. If I don't get a wipe, I don't get a wipe. I never really ever come back into the game with any more than 200, maybe 300,000 whenever I come back in the game, whenever there's a wipe. And my average in my bank account sometimes averages no more than 2 million. That's just me, guys. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just telling you that's where I'm at. What is this issue with AUEC? If there's a wipe, we complain. If we don't wipe, there's a complaint. If somebody has what is the issue with AUEC? So let me bring Pops in, then I'll bring in FC. Pops, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Yes, sir. What you got?
Yeah, Rick, I agree but all right, it took me a while to get where you're at because we used to come into the game and, we used to fly, we used to do cargo, mining, and man, we used to try to get to Area 18 and man, the ships was blowing up and everything. And I used to get so mad sometimes. I'm like, man, I'm not playing this game. And then, me and my son sat down and talked, and we said, it's just testing. I'm like, yeah, and I would talk to you sometimes. Like, it's just and it really got in my mind, why am I so invested in alpha money? And I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, why? So it kind of, my point is, it helped me calm down. It helped me put it in perspective. But gaming does mean a lot to us. It really has become, it's more than tic-tac-toe. You know what if you get what I'm saying, it's more than that. It's become more. Gaming has become so developed. The storylines and things in them, we become so immersed in them. I don't know what other way to put it, but it becomes so much part of our lives, and we want the best out of all of these games that we put our money into. Yeah. And so I do understand that question. Why do we get so upset about? Because it's gaming, and gaming is a part of our lives, but we kind of need a little sit back, I had to do, and take a little bit of inventory.
Okay. Fair enough, Pops. You just changed your positioning, the way you looked at it, basically.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Relax.
All right.
Relax.
All right, Pops. Thank you, man. Hey, let me give a shout out to two people in particular. I'm sorry I didn't say this the right way. I know I said it earlier. HDS, His Divine Shadow. Thank you for the 5 community subs again. You all, and I want to say thank you to Hook 2005, who gave out 10 community subs. Y'all give them some love. If they dished out that many on a Saturday afternoon, I want to give them some love. So thank you guys so much for that support. We really, really appreciate that. Y'all make sure y'all tell them thank you, because that was very sweet of them. Okay. Thank you guys so much for that. I'm sorry I didn't give you a whammer, HDS. I didn't hit the button. I forgot. So thank you. Let me bring in my compadre, Fastcart FC. Hey, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
You're sounding good today.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You're doing better.
I'm getting there. I'm not completely, but it's not as in and out as it usually is. But go ahead.
Yeah, but you asked the question, what is the big deal about AUC? I've been asking the same question for the past 5-6 years, man. I'm in the same way. I mean, maybe it's because we're old and we think alike or something like that, but yeah, I don't get it either. And people, not even what's the big deal with AUEC, people sell this stuff on eBay, and it's temporary. It's gonna wipe. Everyone knows it. That's AUEC. It's Alpha UEC. So yeah, I've been yelling at the sky or whoever for the longest time, the same way as you have about that. Plus, but then we have people like Gomad who who does it to play the game, to test the
Right.
game, and he you know, everyone who knows Gomez, he's a hoarder. He likes to collect armor and collect stuff like that, even though he knows it's gonna wipe eventually. So God bless people like him and who are willing to test the game. But I'm the same way. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, you know, I'm not in the game too much, because I know it's temporary. When it get closer to beta and launch, I'll or when the bad investment comes out, I'll probably play more, because my game loop isn't in the game yet. So
Let me ask you a question, Fast Cart. Do you think that, you know, so much about Star Citizen is based around ships, right? Do you think that maybe that's why? Because, you know, in order to do things, I mean, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I mean, you and I both have a decent amount of ships. And you know, I was watching what Danger Hobo said and said everybody doesn't have a credit card or spend money on ships. And I give them that. Again, I would say, even though I have a lot of ships, I spend more time on other people's ships sometimes than I do on my own. You know, I do way more getting on somebody else's carrot than getting on my own. Right. So, and these guys will tell you the guys who I play with here will tell you, anytime Griff shows up, he shows up in a freaking a 135, right? I show up in a $60 ship. I don't roll in the bigger ships that I have. What is it that, because the game is so ship oriented, I can understand why people grind, because like I said, I want to do trading, right? So maybe I'll start out an Avenger. The Avenger's not big enough. I want to step up to a Freelancer Max. That's not big enough. I go to a Connie. That's not big enough. I go to a C2. I get the progression side of it. What I don't understand is to the point where, like you said, people even go to eBay to buy AUEC or get mad because somebody else has it. I guess, what is it that's driving us as players? We know it's an alpha. We know it could get wiped. But that's still a bitter pill in our mouth. You know, is it because we spent so much time grinding and now we got to go back and do it again?
I would say this way. I would understand it more if there was a leaderboard, and a winning commander had a leaderboard, and you know, people want to see their name at the top.
Right.
But as far as having the match UEC, maybe it's just bragging rights. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, bragging rights.
You mean bragging rights to other players that, oh, I've made this much money, or?
Yes, exactly. I made this money, I have these ships, I have these armors, and I can show them off, and you don't have it. That's what, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. Maybe somebody will have some perspective on it, and we can find out what people have to say. I don't know. I'm not sure what the motivation is, but you know what? We'll bring some other folks in. We'll see what they have to say. But thanks for that perspective. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, let's bring in Fist to Face rather, and then we're gonna move on. I forgot to change the name. We're back to Fist to Face again. Fist, you there?
Hey, how are you?
Hey,
all
buddy.
right. My take on it is this. Matter of fact, you know, my take is this, actually. Excuse me. Do all the exports you can. Like, go into the game, find them all.
Okay.
Right? Get it? I mean,
yeah, as far as exploits go, try to find as much stuff to break in, whatever. Right.
Every one of them.
Right.
Right now. Find everyone. I can care less about how much UEC this person made. And I'm glad you know what they did. They made 50 million AUEC.
Right. I
understand this person's gripe is that, okay, well, they exploited, but then they received money back, you know, for, you know, they felt like, well, they
cheated and they got it back. Right.
They got rewarded. They got rewarded.
Right.
But listen, again, I would applaud whoever it is, because in a lot of ways, you know what? And I'm going to go back to referencing this because I know we talked about it before when the hacks came up, right?
Uh-huh.
And on one hand, I was like, wow, you know, yeah, it's wrong. But on the other hand, I was applauding to point the fact that I'm glad that this happened now.
Right. So we can find it and get it out, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that this happened now. Let hopefully they cover all of their dots and cross all of their T's, you know, sort of way that when it really matters, you know, that they won't have to, you know, track all of these things down. They'll have those firewalls in place, you know, to keep those things from being able to get there, you know, those preventative measures. So I'm not really mad at it.
Okay.
You know,
because it's not going to be. It's not like that's the way it's going to be permanently. It's just a temporary thing, right? Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. All right, Fist. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Good point. Good point. It's only temporary. It's not the way it's going to be. So just hang in there. It will definitely change. Got some interesting comments in here. Hook 205 says, I spent 45 to 50 minutes on a bunker mission because XT is killing servers, is my guess. Okay with the time usage. Okay. Danger Hobo says, you're a much more capable player if you have an Eclipse or Carrack, etc. You are better at playing the game. Grinding is power. I would say yes, it gives you some advantages, but I would also say this, and Danger Hobo, I gotta slightly disagree because I have somebody who's a sole citizen who would argue your point down, and that is Cal Roddy. Cal Roddy deliberately keeps his butt in an Aurora LN and does Xeno threat and wipes people out like crazy. He ain't using no Eclipse, he ain't using no Retaliators, he ain't using no Hammerheads, and he's out there slaughtering. Because one of the things that CIG or Chris Roberts has said is that he wants us to be skilled based. Because a lot of people who come to Star Citizen think that if I get the bigger ship, if I buy the Javelin, the Idris, that I can do blah, 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 blah. To a certain degree. But that is not the end game, and it's not the meta. They don't want that to be the meta. So, yeah, capability-wise, obviously, if you got a C2 over a Caterpillar, you can carry more stuff. I get that. You're right. And that gives people something to grind for. I'm just wondering whether or not it's all about the grind, or is it about gameplay? You know, is me not having the UEC affecting gameplay, or is it the fact that it's just irritating me because I got to do the grind? Okay, we got one more. We're going to bring Kai Zen in, and then we're going to jump on to our third topic, which is our topic for the show today. Kai, you there?
Hello. How are you?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, people pissing and moaning like children because there's a wipe. This week, people pissing and moaning because there's
not
no
a wipe.
I mean, for the love of Mike, can we please act like adults? Can we please act like men?
Are we not
happy?
Men? We can't be happy, Kai. We can't be happy no matter what.
Are we not men anymore? Children cry over little stuff. Dogs whimper when something goes against them, not their way. We're not children. We're men. Be men. Just man up.
We're gamers. We're gamers. We have to whine. We have to complain.
Here's the thing. Here's the one thing I can tell you what CIG should do. People say, oh, they should wipe. Oh, they shouldn't wipe. Here's what they should do.
Mm-hmm.
They should monitor every last detail of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they should make whatever decision is right and proper with the information they have at the time. Period.
Yeah.
So that means sometimes wipe, sometimes no wipes. Either which way, stop crying already. You've got other things to deal with in your life. Go outside, have a beer, play catch with the kid. If you don't have one, go make one. Find something else to worry about other than this petty stuff. I love you, brother, and I'm out.
Thanks, Guy. Guy is the guy. Oh, my God. But he's right. You know, and again, that's why I said AUEC, it's phony money. God, if we're screaming about AUEC, could you imagine if it was UEC? Oh my God. Anyway, that's the end of that topic. Okay, let's go on to, you know what? I need to do this other one. Let me do this other one before I do the topic for the day, guys. So bear with me here because I've got to import this picture in. You're going to lose the chat in the center of the screen because I need to make this picture big enough for you guys to be able to see. Okay, so let me see what's here. Okay, that's there. That's there. No, you know what? I forgot. We do have 4 topics today. Shoot, I thought we only had 3. Should I do this one? Letter from the users, developers of this game. Okay. Actually, these 2 things are tied in together now that I think about it. So let me import this picture that Fastcart was nice enough to send me. Okay. Now, I've got to give you the story behind this picture, guys, okay? So let me do it like that. You're going to lose your chat for a little bit, okay? And then I want to present to you what was said here. This was a post done by our good friend DePoets. And the poets, all he did was post this on Twitter, and he said, "Love the detail in Star Citizen." Okay, that's what he said. Now, after that, on Twitter, the best thing about any type of social media post is the freaking comments. You already know that, right? All right. So some people, complimented and said, yeah, that is very, very cool, right? But then there were other comments where people joked around saying, yeah, a 15 FPS, that's one of the things they're making a joke about, the frame rates. Some other people talked about things such as, yeah, the detail is great, but the game's not developed. They're still developing. There were a lot of compliments about the picture, right? Trying to find one of the other ones that was kind of funny. Posters, 16K, servers are detailed, not worth a damn. All types of stuff, right? And here's my question to you. It's a beautiful disaster. That was another one, right? It's a beautiful disaster. My question to you is this. We all will agree Star Citizen can be very beautiful. Looks good. Graphics are great. Immersion, right? Does the immersion and the detail in the graphics help you with tolerating the game not working? Are you substituting the joy of going into a beautiful game, looking at a sunset, admiring the interior of your ship for the sake of the game being buggy? Or are they two separate things? Do you hold them as two separate things? Or do you subconsciously see a new landing zone and say, wow, game's getting better, and at the same time, elevators are still crashing, What are your thoughts about that? And then we're going to go into the next thing after this, okay? So, all right, a bunch of people came in. All right, listen, Pops and Fist, y'all got to wait. I'm going to bring in Colossal and Kai because I got to bring some different voices on this one. I'm going to bring in Colossal first, okay, because he's the one guy who hasn't been in. Colossal, you there?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, hey guys, how you doing?
I'm here. I'm fine. What are your thoughts, Colossal?
So I thought I'll go back 1 second for what you said in the last segment.
Okay.
I got an answer for all you guys.
Okay.
CIG, take this as a hint. It'll cut out all the shenanigans and crap. Wipe every patch. How about that?
That is
Wipe
done deal,
every
right?
patch.
SOP, right?
It's a
Standard
done
operating
deal.
procedure. Yeah.
Right. Wipe every patch. Nobody won't be saying anything. Nobody won't be fussing. And you'll probably get less of a problem dealing with bugs and things like that because you're wiping every patch. I'm just giving you a little bit of a hint. Wipe every patch and cut out all that shenanigans.
Fair enough.
Now, going back to your other point, is I'm all about gameplay, Griff. And there are some games that I can tell you that are visually stunning. I can go to Mortal Online 2. I can go to other games that are just visually stunning.
Right.
But and I know holistically, Star Citizen is not there yet. We don't have that type of quality of life and gameplay and all that good stuff. So I get that piece. But if you don't have good gameplay, I can go to games that don't have good stunning graphics but are pretty decent. Minecraft. Right? Minecraft is pixelated, but it has very good gameplay. And holistically, that game is complete, at least where they are right now.
Right.
So, yes, the graphics are great. The other thing I want to say about that picture is a lot of people missed the point of that picture because the arguments that they were making, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? That it's just a still picture,
right.
and all he's saying is, look, wow, look at the details here. That's the comment that people should be making, not throwing other things that has nothing to do with the actual frame, the actual Photoshop frame or whatever it is. So my thing is, yes, graphics are great and fantastic, but if you don't have gameplay or quality life in the game, then that's all they are. It's just something to look at.
So let me ask you this, because I asked Montoya this question last week, because I was talking to Nihilus about this last night. What keeps making us come back to a broken game? We know it's busted. We know it's broke. We know we get frustrated with it. And I'm not speaking of you specifically, because I know you have a purpose, but I'm saying, what is it that keeps instead of us going to play something else, why do we keep coming back to Star Citizen? Why don't we just
Because-
say it's busted right now? When I see an email that says it's fixed, I'll come back. Instead, we come back every freaking day and say, is the game any better?
Right.
What is it you think that psychologically going on as gamers that keeps bringing us back here no matter what we're playing? Even if we're playing something else, we come back to Star Citizen, busted and broken, alpha, 10 years later.
So when the cameras are on your face and the cameras are in the room, you go ahead and smile for the camera and you say whatever you want to because the cameras are there at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's saying whatever they want to say when the cameras are there. But when the cameras are not there,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's quiet. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the point that I'm making here is everybody understands what this game has the potential to be.
Mm.
Those who are playing the game right now, especially those who are back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they understand what the potential of the game can be. And I believe that is what drives them coming back because they see what the game could be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Impatience steps in a lot of the times, whether it be life situations, I don't got time, you know, or when I was younger 10 years ago, I didn't have any kids. Now I have kids. Now I don't have any time. So those types of things do step in, and that's a fair enough statement.
Right.
But I think those people who really enjoy the game, not just enjoy the game for the game being the game or whatever state it's in, but I think they're accepting the state that's in because they see what the game could possibly be.
So you believe
the
that
game of their dreams.
So you believe, okay, so basically you're saying the potential of it, even in a broken state, is enough. I'm not saying override the bugs, but it's enough that keeps driving us to stay in touch, continue to follow,
Yeah, absolutely.
even when it's in a
look
bad state.
Look at games right now that are out that were at a broken state when it came out. Those people stopped playing for a second. As soon as those fixes came in, what did they do?
Mm-hmm.
They eventually jump right back in there, right?
Yeah.
And say, oh, I mean, No Man's Sky is a very good example of that.
Right.
Cyberpunk is another good
Right.
example of
Right.
that,
Right.
right? So these people who are going to be dedicated to this game, they're going to be dedicated regardless. And they're going to sit there and say everything they want to when the camera's in their face. When the camera's in their face, somebody's listening to them, whether they're on Twitch or whether they got Jared them doing shows like Star Citizen Live. They're going to go ahead and come out live. But as soon as those cameras go away, as soon as those blogs go away and things like that, what are they doing? I mean, there are other people that we know that are streamers that need not to be named, especially they were yelling at the beginning. And now all of a sudden, what do?
Yeah.
They start streaming Star Citizen all over again, you know, and dismissing what they said in the beginning from a long time ago. So, yeah, these people are going to always come back. They're just waiting for the improvements, and they're going to be loud when it's not there, and they're going to be not loud when the cameras are not there.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let me bring Kai Zen in next. Kai, you there?
Hello, brother.
There he is.
All right, so I think number one, Colossal was very much correct that it's about the potential, and part of it is, as you say, it's the pretty. The pretty gives us a lot of belief or feelings about the potential of this game, but also part of it is the scope and things like that. Elite Dangerous was a far superior developed game to Star Citizen in the first 4 to 5 years of the development. Elite Dangerous made some shortcuts, made some decisions, got product out, and then iterated on it and did a lot of cool stuff with it, and deserves a lot of credit for doing a much better job than Star Citizen did in the early days. And then somewhere along the way, the founder moved upstairs and he was no longer developing, you know, Elite directly. He was a board guy for the whole company. And then they had guys that were supposed to have a vision. They clearly didn't. The game sort of started to fall apart. They released an absolute shitburger of an expansion. And now they've literally they're moving people from the team off, whatever. And I'm not bringing that up to be harmful or hurtful to people. I'm just pointing out that that game, it lost all of its potential. Nobody believes that they have anything that they're really doing with it anymore. It's basically in maintenance mode. Star Citizen, for all of its fault in the early days, for all of its missteps and for all of its slowness and for all of its, oh my God, blah after blah, time, blah after blah, dollars, whatever complaint you want to make. Whenever you see the guys, whenever you see any of them and you see what they're doing and whatever, they're never lessening the scope. They're never limiting the scope. They're never doing less, you know, or planning less for the future than they used to. It's always, if anything, they get criticized because they're planning more. They're with this, that, and people are like, come on, timeline, this, that, and the other. So like, where I think a lot of people will forgive Star Citizen a whole host of sins is because all the things they're guilty of, and boy are they, but they're not guilty of trying less, doing less, whatever. Like the game, these guys are, you know, to an insane religious level. They have faith in the game, and they're like they're going it out, and to me, that gives me a lot of that I can forgive a lot of sins behind that, where it's like, okay, cool. To Colossal's point, where he talks about, look at all these games that have these problems, whatever. What is that? Jedi Survivor? Star Wars just released their brand new game like this week.
Right.
And it gets you like 3 seconds per frame. Yeah. Not even 3 frames per second. 3 seconds per frame. It stutters. Whatever. There's a lot of that out there. I would point out one other thing, Griff, where you talk about, you look at this picture and look how pretty it is. I would point something out. Unlike a lot of other games, Star Citizen is being developed on the backs of our dollars. It's being developed off of the money that it brings in right now. And what that means is when you put the pretty, it brings the dollars. And dollars equals development. That's what's keeping the project alive. Like it, hate it, whatever, however you feel about it, we all have to acknowledge
the reality.
This isn't like Cyberpunk. This isn't like No Man's Sky. This isn't like those other games that they put out a game, you paid your $30 or whatever. This game is living and dying day to day off of the money that comes in, and pretty equals money. So they have a fiscal responsibility to put out the pretty, to highlight, to sell, to do the sizzle, all of the things that all of us love, and most of us secretly also hate.
Right.
Like they have a fiscal responsibility to do that. Like they have to. And I'm going to shut up now because Pops and Fizz got some great points for you.
No, but your point, your love-hate thing is real. It ultimately, and it's not an ends justifies the means, but we do realize that as much as we love and hate it, it is also the same thing that has kept this project going, you know, regardless of how you feel about it. Yeah. All right, Kai.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Love you, brother.
All right. Let's bring in Pops. Pops, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, yep. What you got, bro?
Yeah. You know, Griff, there's a draw to coming into a game that's in development because just like Starfield, we can't jump into Starfield. You know, so we get to be in there, we get to run around and see what's going on. But one of the things for me, besides the people and all of that, because the people make a big difference that are playing the game. The active development of this game brings me back. And what I'm saying is when they, you know, people call it feature creep. Okay. But when they bring something, I want to know about it. I'm hungry.
Right.
I guess is the best way to put it. I'm hungry. I want to know what they're doing next. The controversies. I want to know about the controversies. So it's basically, to me, those things that keep me coming back, because I could sit on the couch and wait 2 or 3 years and take a peek and be like, well, is it ready yet? No. But it, you know, mining was developed so deep that makes you wonder, man, what else are they doing? They got attachments you can add to a rock and blow the rock up. So it, you know, in my opinion, it's a development in those areas that keep you coming back, and the people.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you there, Pops. Right. Appreciate you. All righty there. Let's bring in Fist to Face. Fist, you there?
Hey, how are you? Okay. We'll answer this in two parts. Okay, so the first part, to answer your question about what keeps you coming back, or what keeps you coming
no, I didn't ask what keeps you coming back. I want to be real specific, because I did say that. What I tried to tie it into was with this image.
Right.
Because I was saying, you know, beautiful image, right? Looks great. But is stuff like this enough? The graphics fidelity and all that. When you see that, when we get a new landing zone, are those things, those beautiful things, enough to drive you to, that's why you keep coming back, even though you know the game is busted? You know what I'm saying? It's great to see a pretty picture, but if I go to the game and I can't play it, You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, of course.
So is that pretty picture enough that you actually, when you see progress and see things, like say, yeah, I know this game is busted, but man, I love sitting out there and watching them sunsets. You know,
right? No, I mean,
Okay.
there's some things like I will say yes and no, because yes to the point of fact that like I was watching the Yacht Club the other day and they had it Cobra TV on it, and they showed a video where a person was just sitting out there watching people take off from Lorville. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked so cool, and I was like, damn. That could be just, I mean, and you have people who do this, that could be just an event where you have folks that'll just go out there, sit, and just hang out and just watch folks take off from Lorville and then quantum out. You know, that right, like I said again, that's an event that to where you meet people, you have fun, you enjoy things. You know, that right there is a detail that you don't have in another game. Okay. That's where your beauty comes in. You know, so like this shot, you know, that's where beauty has its function.
So you're saying there's some other beautiful moments or engagements that don't necessarily have anything to do with the mechanics or features or something being broken, but those things also, just like something visual, watching a sunset, or even sitting in the spaceport watching ships take off, is the type of thing that brings you back.
Mean, okay. And I'll say for me, the other day when you spawned a character for me, and I went in and was going around taking pictures. I'm going around taking pictures of looking at the details in the flooring, right? Because I'm learning a technique, what they call trim sheets and decals, because this is what they use. Not just in Star Citizen, this is widely used throughout gaming. And when you look at this, you know, from, like I said again, we were talking the other day, from the sausage being made, you gain an appreciation, you gain a different perspective of something. You know, just looking at this picture, you know, really quickly, just from the details and understanding how the way they did it. If you go back even to the Star Citizen Live on YouTube, where they did the weaponize, I forget which one it was, when they were actually doing it live, where they were building out the gun there, and they showed you the techniques. I mean, you gain an appreciation. It may be boring to others, you know what I mean? But as you know, we're doing something in this field right now. But you know, it's cool to see, you know. But yeah.
All right. I appreciate that. It's not just about the mechanics that can bring you back to the game. That's still cool. All right. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Sir Togi, we're going to bring him in. Then we're going to move on. Sir Togi, you there? Oh, by the way, Artorias Place, thank you so much for that sub. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Sir Togi, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing, coming in with this, more hot takes.
Yeah, you always bring the hot takes. What you got?
All right, so everyone's talking about the new Star Wars game, and why is it getting all shit all over? Because it runs like shit, and it's buggy as shit, and that's why Cyberpunk got shit all over, and they're all pretty games. Why is Star Citizen treated differently? Yeah, it shouldn't be. You want to know why I'm here? Is to shit on Star Citizen until it's better.
You're gonna be the critique. Give it the critique.
I mean, maybe not critique.
Well, let me ask you a question. But let me ask you a question.
Critical feedback.
Let me throw something to you though, and I understand what you're saying. Believe me, I do, because I think we have to critique the game, and we have to raise issues with it, right? Otherwise, not that they will get slack, but there has to be a point of accountability with development, because it's people's money, right? So that makes sense. But you also picked games that are quote unquote finished. And that's a difference too. Cyberpunk was done by a published company, worked on the game for 10 years, Cyberpunk. It was supposed to be done. And they pushed out too soon due to pressure, right? Because they were trying to meet the console deadlines for the holidays, which was wrong. And and they paid for it, right? They paid for it in their stocks, they paid for it in the community and everything else. So that's the other side of the coin to that. That game is saying, we're done with this. It's finished. And there were things they said that were supposed to be in the game, just like No Man's Sky, just like other games, that they didn't put in the game. The communities were very disappointed because of that.
Yep.
So
and that's why I would say that being critical now is even more important.
To catch, yes. So when the final product comes, I agree with you. Yes, absolutely.
You know, we can actually do something now.
There you go.
We go on there, we start crying.
Yep.
All right, something happens, cry. Cry as loud as you can. Make sure you cry until Chris hears you. Go cry outside
don't
his
complain
house.
later. Yeah, don't complain later.
Throwing pebbles at his windows.
Yeah.
Because they can do something about it now.
That's true. That's very, very true. Good perspective, because unfortunately, those games that we talked about, we didn't have a voice, right? They may have told us something, and I get it. Yeah, they say, well, like I just heard recently for Starfield. You know, when Starfield first did their first promo, everybody got excited. Oh, so we had 1,000 planets, blah, 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 blah. Then they started to reel it back in because they started to understand what that meant to players, right? And so players are going to start finding out that, well, yeah, there may be 1,000 planets, but it doesn't mean those planets are going to be fully fleshed out and I can do this, that. So they had to be real careful with how they put that out there. But here, as you mentioned, we do have an opportunity.
Or some of the features that you saw in, you know, the original Cyberpunk gameplay.
Yes.
All right. I mean, I was immeasurably upset when you couldn't wall climb with the Mantis blades.
Yeah. And they're trying to put stuff in. I think, you know what I think will really revitalize? I think Cyberpunk will blow up. If they ever put the multiplayer thing into it, I think it'll blow up. I know that's a big thing. I know they said that they may not do it, but if they ever made
from what they've said, this is going to be their last games on the current engine.
Really? Wow.
And then they're switching to Unreal 5.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. It's a good game. But, but again, the bad thing about these publishers, and nothing to do with the developers and designers, but man, when they lock those dates down and it's all, the marketing has gone out and they've advertised, because I always remember the story about Star Wars Galaxies. The developers said, we told Sony we need at least a year. Sony said, you got 1 month. And they knew they could. They said 1 month, we need a year. Didn't make a difference.
With Fallout New Vegas.
Had to push it out. And then, everybody gets disappointed. It sucks. It sucks that that's the way the industry is.
The unique thing of Star Citizen.
Yeah.
And we would be idiots to not utilize that to the fullest because we're paying for it.
That's right. Good point. All right, Sir Togi. Thank you, brother. He always brings it. All right. Last but not least, we're going to bring MT Stunner in. Stunner, you there?
Yo, what's up, Griff?
Hey, how are you, man?
Good. I'll try to keep it brief, but I got a good story for this specifically.
Okay.
My answer is no. Obviously, it's definitely something that shows the passion and the attention to detail of the project, and it's definitely linked with Star Citizen, how great the graphics are. But my buddies and I have been posting screenshots for years that we've been involved with the project. We had friends that finally committed to come. We've been hyping them up. They wanted to come into the free flight that we just had. Of course, Xenothreat was a nightmare. We couldn't do it. Those of us that had been playing and brought them in, we're very disappointed. So we take a player beacon to rescue them, right? It's a crew that had a C2 out. They somehow got separated, floating EVA out in space from their ship. We don't know if it's legit or, because they're offering a really high payout. And we have nothing else to do because Xenothreat's not working. We're on a hammerhead, actually, because we got enough of us in there with our friends. So needless to say, the whole thing took like hours. Neither the people that put out the beacon or us fully trust each other because you don't know what's going on. Their C2 ended up being full of loot. And we ended up helping them out. We got the payout. But, I mean, all but basically 4 out of 6 friends signed up. They actually bought packages because of that. That's something that's in the game. That's an experience you can't get in a lot of other games. It's not just the graphics or the screenshots that we've been posting for years. Okay. So that is working now. And I think that's what a lot of people find out about Star Citizen when they start playing it, that, you get those unique player experiences, those MMO experiences that we've all been wanting for years. And a lot of new gamers haven't been able to experience something like that for, ever, maybe.
Right.
So that's what I see.
No, I agree. I think someone mentioned it earlier. There are other aspects of the game that draw us back, even when the game's broken as bad as it is right now. Right? There's still things that we even talked about. Not to be funny, I don't want to sound like I'm getting all sentimental and stuff, but we were talking about just the fact that we get together in the Discord and hang out. This game still brings us together for that, even though the game's busted. Nobody in the freaking Discord is playing the game, but we're all sitting there, right? It's like, what are we doing here? What are you doing? Oh, I'm playing, City Lines, and I'm playing so-and-so, but we really are here because we're our subconscious ear is what's going on with Star Citizen. You know what I mean? Is it fixed yet? You know, kind of like is Jumptown safe? You know, kind of thing like that. So, all right, MT, thank you, man, for dropping in. Okay.
Yep. Take care, man.
Always good to have you. All right. Okay, that was a quickie. Thank you guys for jumping in. And Fast Card, again, thank you for reminding me. I'm getting old. I'm telling you, I'm forgetful. All right, last one. I'm not gonna read all this. This is a long thread. And I need to get out of here early. Maybe I will read it. I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna read this. It's a long read, y'all. But this is not really the focus on it. But I just want to read this so you guys will understand how some people are really not happy with the state of the game. So just bear with me. So we're gonna put the link in the chat for you, Fast Card, if you can drop it in, because it's a long read. Okay. It's also, this person, Hunterdan, wrote this. He may be of another ethnic group, so his English here isn't always on point. So just bear with it, but I'm going to read it verbatim. I think you guys will get what he's saying. Okay. It says, Dear development, a letter from a user for the developers of this game. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. Dear development of Star Citizen. First of all, I fully understand that this game is an alpha tester and the users must assume the errors in the game. It is so clear to me that I paid more than 1,000 USD because I like the game to get a future. Okay. But the reality is that it's a failure to see how the game is always unplayable. 2 critical errors that we can't even do a gameplay and testing. They want us to play ships in the game and not be able to refuel, get bullets, or repair. How do we test? They want us to test ships, but we can't fly them because the screens to claim don't work. How do we fly? They want us to play at Xeno Threat. It's not even possible to enjoy a single fight properly. What experience is that? They want us to play on servers with more capacity, but we never had stability on smaller servers. Why add more people when you guys never fixed the 30K in the small servers? Just remember, more than 10 months to solve. Just remember more than 10 months to solve a Grimhex elevator, while the Grimhex base is useless. 10 or more months you don't care about the pirates role play. Come on, almost a year to fix it. They want us to play missions, and missions are always bugged. From 5 missions, out of 5 missions, 3 are bugged. They want us to play Siege of Orison, but it is impossible because it's super laggy, bugged, crazy NPC respawns. Oh my God, have someone test it before you bring it to the users. They say a new gameplay PvP zone, security post Korea. The prize is cheaper than the cost of doing it. Who did that mission? Who approved that logistics? They want we play salvage and the scans don't work. Really, why don't we have a hotfix fast? They want us to play 3.18.2, but can't even buy in the stores. I can't buy components, ships, guns, armor, etc. What kind of experience is that? I worry about the logic they use to advance or create things. Why put thousands of beds in the ship when only one person, the owner, can use it? Why delay progress? Because everything they do makes no sense. Patch after patch, and the most basic errors remain the same. If you get something that is at least 60% functional, how can we test or play if it is not possible? Why do you guys have beds on ships and we can't use it? Or our friends? Why only the owner? And also, if the owner is asleep, doesn't get up at the same place, why do you guys change it as if this works when it worked perfect before? Explain that logic and change it back, please. I could continue like this. It's a shame. They give the users a bad experience all the time, and I feel like everything they do is wrong. That they announce to release new things when what they currently have is unplayable. When they put something in game, it gets messed up. Why is it like this all the time? That all they do is sell and sell ships, making thousands of people think the game is playable, and testers, and in the end, not even possible to play it or test it. I think that the whole order of what they do is wrong. I think that if you launch something live, it should already be tested and can see in live small bugs, not an unplay live game. I guess it means unplayable live game. I know it is an alpha, but you guys have a PTU, tester server. All the logistics of how they develop the game is poorly done. And this is not 12 months or 30 months worth of work. This has been like this for many years. The progress is too slow, and apart from users regretting and stressed to see you bringing out new things but never finishing and fixing what already exists. I am very concerned about what I invested in. I am concerned that when we raise our voices, they will ban us or delete what we think to post for interest. They will erase what we think because they are not positive comments. I would like to be positive, but I am realistic. I think they should change the quality control and gameplay because those who are there have no idea what they should do. You can't get a server that crashes all the time with 30K. That's a shame to show that the game can't even stay online. My God, wake up. I don't want to see this game ruined. Not a single good experience. Don't try to defend the indefensible. This has been going on for a long time with the same style of bugs to no avail. Could we ever see a stable alpha? Could you care a bit about the testers and users? This is not fixed by lowering the price of starter packs. I love the game, and that's why I talk like this. Commander Hunterdan. A lot there, okay? So I'm going to take a couple comments on this, but I want to focus in on this next question. And when the people who come in, I've got Kai and Pops there now. I want you guys to go ahead and think about this as well, because what I want to create is what I call the top 10 fixed list. If there were 10 things, irregardless of what's being said here, maybe this has sparked something in your mind too, that you would like to see fixed in Star Citizen, what would those things be and why? Tell me why. Not just fix them, but why they should be fixed, okay? So I'm going to bring in Kai first, then I'm going to bring in Pops, okay? Kai, you there?
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing, brother?
Okay, I know there's a long read there. Sorry.
No worries. So first off, I just want to make a comment for everybody that's going to follow me after, where it may be like, I would strongly suggest everyone resist the urge to shit on the guy for poor English. Keep in mind that if you happen to be in Spain or Hungary or Italy and you were trying to write on their forums, his English was pretty damn good based on assuming whatever. I would point out that with regard to his thing about saying, I'm afraid if I say anything negative, it'll get removed. Well, clearly his thing did not get removed despite the fact that it was hypercritical. I would question the idea of how come only one bed is available to be used in my ship that has 1,000 beds. I would want to say, what ship is that? I would very much like to see that ship. But putting all that aside, I'm going to take what might be a controversial stance and say pretty much everything he said was on point. Everything he said was not inaccurate. It is a long and messy development process. And maybe some of that is, I think everything we hear about with Star Citizen is, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're inventing a way to do this, we're not going to use anything that's been done before, we're inventing a way to do that, we're not doing anything that's been done before, we're inventing a new, like sometimes guys, man, every once in a while, do yourself a favor and use what's tried and true. You don't have to reinvent the wheel on every last aspect of the game. I think it is a long and messy development process. I'm excited for where it's eventually going to go. Here's the one observation, let's say, that I would make on his hypercritical rant, or not hypercritical, but just critical rant. I think the key point in that rant to me was that he started it out with, I've invested over $1,000 in this game. I care about this game. If I can give one word of advice to you people, if you tried the game and you're excited for where it could go, but it is in a far from finished state, and you're like, man, this game is nowhere near ready. Okay, then buy the $40 pack, starter pack, and then a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you might be like, man, they're taking their sweet ass time with this, but oh well, whatever. It was $40. It was literally, it was 1/3 the price of a good case of beer, you won't care that much. It comes and goes. It's, you know, it's a nice dinner.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah. Let me stop you for a second.
Go ahead.
Do you think that money, I'm not saying for everybody, is money a driving factor for complaints? From a consumer standpoint, right?
Yes.
We spend a certain amount of money, so that brings a certain expectation, regardless of any technical issues, what we know about it, alpha, pre-alpha, whatever you want to call it. The fact that we spend a certain dollar amount subconsciously makes us want to expect more.
The amount of your investment increases the pressure of expectations that you have.
Okay.
Always.
Okay.
Now, if you're Elon Musk, you could afford to buy the $40,000, you know, King Koopa package and not really give a shit because that's pocket change. All right. But if you're a dude who's working a 9 to 5 and you had to decide whether or not you were going to buy the NFL package for this season or get your whatever, and you spent $1,000, this guy is saying, on, you know, and I'm just taking him at his word.
Right.
I think that's the best thing to do in a discussion like this.
Right.
It's going to increase the amount of pressure he feels. I say this to everyone out there listening: save your money until you get to a point where you've seen enough that you feel like, I'm good putting in this money now based on what I've already seen. I'm not saying don't invest in the project. I'm saying only invest enough that you're not going to become one of these, you know, bitter bottoms and start, you know, it's not fast enough, it's too long. All the complaint that, now I know there's going to be tons of people in the chat that don't want to hear this, but all the complaints that he made, they're all pretty accurate. It's like, Jesus, this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, yeah, I think like the complaints that he's making are factually accurate, and maybe there's good reasons for those complaints. Like he's saying, why is it taking so long? Why still this? Why still that? He and there could be, you know, good reasons why it's taking so long. But I think the main problem is he put in too much money. Now he feels trapped, and now he feels absolutely, you know, anxious and upset and whatever. And I'm saying that's not on Star Citizen. That's on you. Remember my comment earlier? Be a man. Own your shit. Don't put money into a thing you ever expect to see out, you know, without guarantees, without this, without that. They've been very upfront. There ain't no guarantees on any of this shit. You buy a ship and they're like, look, even if it's a ship that's released now, you still click a thing that say the ship's in development. Your Inferno could be your Inferno could be the Impotent next week.
Yeah, the ship you have this week is not the ship you're going to have next week. Yeah,
you know, so like just don't put money in that's gonna hurt you. I mean, forget Star Citizen. In life,
in general,
don't put money in that's gonna hurt you. No, be responsible for yourself. Be a man.
Can you afford it does not mean does your wallet, right? It doesn't. It means way more than that when you talk about, especially something that's like projected like this. It's not about affording it. Affording it is even your sanity. Can you afford? Can you afford to put that money in? All right, Kai. Thank you, brother. Okay.
Later.
All right. Let me bring in Pops in space, and then wait a minute, Kai, come back. Kai, check back in. You didn't give me my answer that I needed from you. Pops, you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Let me get Kai in with you real quick. Kai.
Okay.
Top 10 fix.
Wait, hold on. Am I on the air with Pops?
Yes, you're on the air with Pops.
Oh my God, can I get an autograph?
Oh my God.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm selling them.
Give me what you put on your top 10 fix. What would you, if there was something you wanted to see fixed, what would it be? One thing.
One thing on my top 10 list, I would say, oh Jesus, the one thing. Over everything else, I would say stop putting commercials on YouTube that say playable now. You need a little, just wait a while. All right, I love you guys. I'm out.
Bye. We already did that one already, but we already said that one, so I'm gonna leave some room. All right, Pops, go ahead.
No, mine is, even though I would love to have this fixed, it is kind of broad.
Okay.
But the overall thing I would like them to fix is server communication.
Explain.
Well, when the different features speak to each other, that's a issue. Now, what I'm more specifically looking at is when we go into Pyro, because that's a server thing. When we go from one to the next, it's going to be a different server. So that the handshake.
No. That does not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be issues with communication. We don't completely know how they're going to do handoffs. That's part of what server meshing is. There's this thing of moving. When you go from one area to another, that things are being funneled in back and forth so that no one server carries the entire load. And they've talked about, whether or not there'll be servers, for example, based on, or shards, whatever you want to call them, based around systems. Like, in other words, Stanton has its own server, Crusader has its own, whatever. We don't know yet, Pops. So I don't want to go project it. I want to talk about what's broken now, if there was something that has to be fixed, okay? What we have right now. Because I'm worried about playability of the game now, because that's what the person was addressing. How can I test the game now when stuff's not working? So if there was something you would pick right now to fix in the game that you feel, what would it be?
I would probably pick persistence.
You want the persistence to be, what about it that's broken that you don't like? Because you got to give me like what?
The persistence that when, leaving something somewhere, the clutter.
The clutter from persistence.
Right.
Okay.
It's not performing quite as they should. Because I've been in the game, and it's things there that should be gone. It's things that are not there. That I would pick that.
Okay. All right. I'll buy that for $1. All right. I got to bring some more folks in. Thank you, Pops.
Okay.
All right. Let me bring in Sir Togi again. Sir Togi. Is he there? Going once. Yep. There he is. Awesome.
So this time not hot take. I just want to give this guy a high five.
Okay.
Talking about, you gotta be critical. Everything he said is right.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you gonna do about it? You're gonna put that out there, and it might be screaming into the void.
Mm-hmm.
Not be. I mean, frankly, I think that Star Citizen should start slowing down their update schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We really need quarterly updates. It's not like they ever make them anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Why was 3.17 as stable as it was?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was for almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
So just leave 3.18 for a year. You can add a little stuffs here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they can manage to throw a 0.1 patch in that does the events and whatnot.
So do you think that the quarterlies actually have, in a way it may have had good intention, but because they can't deliver, it also puts additional pressure. And then when they don't deliver, that's also causes part of their own problems, right?
Yep. And then you can just have the live PU team because again, they want a playable game because that's what's been selling.
Okay. Which somebody suggested a few weeks ago, Sir Togi, that what if they were to keep, like when 3.18 came out, there was a thing of saying, keep one server that we know is working fairly well running and let the bad servers stay in PTU. Now, the difficulty with that is that when a lot of people don't go into PTU because they don't want to mess with the buggy version. And also the same way they fix the bugs is by getting thousands of people into the server. So it's kind of a catch-22, because you can't make people go into the PTU. A lot of people say, I don't even deal with the PTU. So it's a tough one.
And I mean, it's one of those things that to me, I don't think you're ever going to be able to simulate load.
Yeah.
And not just kind of shit on the game.
Yeah.
But shitting on the game once a year, I can deal with that.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, just don't pick a time where nobody's you do it in the summer.
Okay.
Do it in the summer. Everybody is out having fun doing stuff. Don't do it in the in the winter when everybody's cooped up.
Okay. So we're going to say eliminate quarterly or drop patches when ready. How about dropping patches when game is ready? Well, they're ready when they go in. How do you want me to phrase it?
I would say that extend patch cycles.
Okay.
To give better time.
Okay. More time for working. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sir Togi.
Yep.
Good suggestion. Let's go to Fist to Face. Come on, y'all. I need to have 10. I'm only going to have 3 so far. If anybody else wants to jump in, please put them in. Yeah, Fist.
What's going on?
Yeah.
All right.
What you got
I
for the
really
list?
only have one.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
That's fine.
I think it's server tick rate or the server frame rates.
Server frame rates, increase those.
I mean, I would hope, because like we said, we went in and servers were really like bad. It was like running at eight frames per second at the most.
Yep.
So and like the problem is like when you go into a fresh server, it's firing on all cylinders, right? Going to do a bunker, shoot, NPCs are snap, and I just hopefully you would have a more consistency on that if they could get that there, because that's going to really keep people, I believe, within gameplay, not just from a PvP part of that, but PvE, So
I will say this: his Divine Shadow just said this, and I experienced this once as well. He says that I was with a 30 frame per second server rate Thursday, and I had one like that too. And it was the game was incredibly. I killed like left and right. It was ridiculous, to be honest with you. The game was. I mean, the game runs good at 10. Like as far as you moving around and stuff. But the performance of AI and all that other stuff, if you happen to catch the server when it's running high like that, you actually see how the game is supposed to be. So to your point, the increase, or at least let's say the consistency of having frame rates at a better ping, server frame rates, not client, you guys, server, like
server frame rates.
Then that makes a difference. Okay. All right, brother. Thank you, man. I got to step it up. I'm going to get up to 5. It looks like, 'cause I got 2 more people in. Let me bring in Fast Cart. No, let me bring in Kai. And then I'll bring in Fast Cart because Kai was here earlier. Kai, you there?
Hey, just real quick, because you need the numbers.
Yo, what you got?
All right. Add an export feature where we do character creation and we can save our guy. Because if you want to spend an hour getting your guy looking exactly right, you don't want to do that every wipe. So the way it is now, I click I click like roll a dice 2-3 times and then go. Whereas the first time when I first played Star Citizen, I spent an hour and a half working on my whatever. And if you get your guy looking right, you really identify more with it. You invest more emotionally. This is a smart thing for them.
Absolutely. No, good point.
All right, I'm out.
Good point. Thank you, brother. All right. That was a good one to throw in there because people have talked about the character creator. Let me bring in Fast Cart next. FC.
Hey, I'm back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a couple of things for you.
Okay, what you got?
Yeah, one thing I have is elevators. Make it so they don't kill people. I don't know how hard it is or what the problem
wait,
is.
let's back up. I'm going to back up a little bit. Elevators have not been killing people recently. What has happened with elevators, they have been killing people recently. What's been happening with elevators is people will go in elevators and fall through them. There was a time when elevators were actually, they were actually killing people. They were traveling through space and running into you and colliding with you and killing you. But let's just say elevator issues, because we'll cover both of those. All right,
yeah, that's fine.
We'll cover that. And what else you got?
The other one is I want to bring back hangers, man. I miss my personal hanger.
You want personal hangers back? Okay.
Yeah, I want personal hangers back. And I just want to say, it's not related, but I just want to say, congrats on 43 episodes. You had your 42nd episode, 42 last week, and we missed it. So I want to say, congrats on 43 episodes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right. I got you down for personal hangers return. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
All right. We got Admiral Kusanagi in. Looks like we're only going to get 7 in today. And that's okay because I got to leave in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get him in. Admiral Kusanagi, you there?
You guys, you're pulling me in here. You're pulling me in.
Okay. What you got?
One thing about CIG that I have been talking about for a few years now, and they still make the same mistake. And it's one thing. It's only one thing, and this person's from a different country, potentially.
Okay.
Probably running on the minimum requirements to what SIG says.
Okay.
And right now, SIG is saying that he can play this game on a GTX 960. With 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's it. That's and Windows 8.
Oh my goodness.
So if you think you can, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I was playing this game on a 970 originally, which was strongly recommended at 4 gigabytes.
Okay.
when I first started playing this game back in 2016, 2017. And even then it struggled. I run at 16 gigs RAM, but when I went to 32, like mind blown.
Yes.
And if they still want to give everyone saying, hey, this is what you need to play this game, it's a load of crap.
Okay.
It really is. And it's setting people up for failure. And this is what happens when people think they're playing the game based off the recommendations that SIG is giving people.
They get bad performance. Yeah.
And they get bad performance. And I think that's what we're seeing here. And we've seen it for years.
Yeah.
Because you get somebody who I play with 64 gigabytes of RAM when I play the game. And to say you can run it on 16 gigs of RAM is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look at the picture you had up earlier with that gun.
Oh yeah,
like,
no
can
way
you
you're
get that off of 3 gigs of RAM? Of course you can't. Your game won't even move. You're lucky your computer doesn't explode next to your lap.
No, that's a good point. Absolutely a good point.
So if you want one fix, just that. Just go on the webpage, have them go on the webpage and say, hey, you need, an upgraded graphics card, and for God's sakes, not Windows 8. Something that's realistic in 2023, because that is ridiculous. And that's what's on the website right now.
Okay, well then it needs to be changed. I agree with you. Update the computer requirements. All right, thank you, Admiral.
That's all I got.
Gotcha.
All right.
Appreciate it. All right, we got MT, and I'm going to bring in DK. We might hit 10. MT, you back?
I am. I can't believe nobody's stolen mine yet. The star map.
Ooh, the star map. Now, could you be specific? Let's talk about which one. Are we talking about the one on the website? Or are we talking about
No. The one we use in game for navigation. It's like one of the most used things by everybody, and it's just so difficult.
Okay, the Moby Glass star map, right?
You got it.
The update that we've been looking for God only knows how long. Okay, we won't even say fix it. We want to see the actual way it's supposed to be. Okay, no, that's a good one. Everybody has to use it, so I agree with you. Thank you on that. All right, DK's coming in. We're going to hit 9 at least. What you got, DK?
Okay, so I'm going to at least give you 9.
Okay, I'll take 10 if you want to take the 10.
Me,
yeah.
Oh, well, I might have that too. So for the 9th, and I have time to think about it, is better recovery from crashes. Just, I know that they're working on it. And I know that the crashes, sometimes they can't, fix what is causing a crash either from the server or client. That part I get. But I'm talking about recovery when we get back into the game.
I get you. You want to have a consistent. Sometimes you come in, your stuff's there. Sometimes you come back and your stuff's all, or you wake up back at your original place or whatever, right?
Exactly. Your ship is destroyed out in the middle of nowhere for some reason, or lost. Simple things like, and it's not that I'm saying it's a easy fix. What I'm saying is, I would like to see some progress, or at least some minor thought going into how can we make the recovery a little bit more a little less of a hassle, as opposed to right now. Sometimes 30K recovery works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the persistent part works. I know that they shut it off, right? Is that the understanding? And sometimes that doesn't. So that's all I'm asking.
Okay.
And I know Kai's there, but Kai, give him 11. Number 10, fix the doors on the 400i, please. I know it's petty. I know it's petty.
I will say, well, you know what? Let's just say doors on ships. Hey, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that, okay? I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that, because they just this last patch said that they had fixed the Reclaimer's elevator, which has been jacked for forever. I went and checked it out. And I said, hey, the elevator works. This is great. All the buttons take you to the floors. Then when I went down to the ground level in the ramp, the door didn't open. So I'm like, okay, they fixed the elevator, but the door doesn't open,
So all the doors.
I'm just going to go with doors. Okay, I'm going to go with doors.
Every single one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, TK.
Kai,
all right.
Get the
Let me get Kai in. Kai gets to add the +1 here. All right, Kai, you there?
I was just trying to help you get to 10.
Okay, but what you got?
I got 2.
Just give me one. I can't fit them all on the screen.
Oh, all right, here you go. Then
give me
we'll
the main one. Give me the main one.
All right, the main one. Stop giving dates.
Ooh.
Stop giving dates. Don't promise shit you can't do. I can't see how that, like, let's be honest, Griff, between you and me, that needs to be number 1 on the, you see, you made it number 1 on the list.
I agree.
That's number 1 on the list.
I did.
That's
right.
number one on the list. And
You're
everything
right.
else needs to move down.
I did. No, you're right. We've talked about the dates thing. You know, it bit them in the butt just recently, so they need to stay away from dates.
It bit them in the butt
I agree.
9,000
Plenty of
times.
right? We think we should learn by now, right?
All right, look, you got a wife waiting for you. You go about your day.
No, I've got to go out and do mom, so I got to get ready to head out of here. My wife, she's cool. All right, thanks, bro. All right, listen, gang. I want to say thank you guys so much for this. It was good stuff. You guys shared a lot of good things, and we're gonna save that list. Hopefully, CIG. Sometimes they watch our show. Maybe they'll say, you got some interesting stuff here on this list. Maybe we'll get to show that to them later. Okay. Let's talk about what we've got coming up. This Sunday, tomorrow, the 24th. What date do I have down there? The 30th. Yes. We're doing a show called Whether or Not. We're going to be talking about weather in Star Citizen. What would we like to see? What has CIG shown us regarding weather in the game? And how will weather impact this dynamic weather thing? You know, they've talked about how they're going to, there's a whole bunch of stuff with the landscaping and the valleys and temperatures and winds and all this stuff, and how they want to have this thing with weather. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about, it's going to be a little bit of theory crafting, right? Because we don't have a lot of weather in the game per se. But we are going to be talking about it. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you got nothing to do, come sit in with us, okay? Also, as you guys know, today is Podcast Saturday, where we partnered with some of our other good friends in the Star Citizen community. Paul Shelley at the Astro Pub with the Captain's Table, which starts at 6 p.m. Eastern time today. And then after Paul, the OGs of Star Citizen, the guys over at Relay, they come on at 9 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can check out both those shows. Great informative shows. They both talk about stuff in Star Citizen. They play the game. A lot of fun with some guys who really know what they're talking about when it comes to Star Citizen in the community. Don't forget, Thursdays is our Soul Talk with Fast Card at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I always get the times mixed up. 9 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can join for that show as well. But hopefully we'll see you guys on tomorrow. I want to say special thanks to everyone who came by today. Those of you who subscribed. His Divine Shadow, thank you again for that other gift sub you gave to Hook 2005. Thank you for that. Verpine, AR Verpine, thank you also for the resub. We appreciate that. Artorius, if I didn't acknowledge you, please forgive me. Please, thank you for that sub as well. Everyone was talking. I didn't want to interrupt them, but thank you guys, as always, for your support. And we definitely hope that you guys enjoyed our conversation today. As you guys know, Atmo Esports is sponsoring the Crux Cup. We've got the Crux Cup coming up and System 7 coming up. And we hope that you guys will check out those races and support them. We're going to send you guys over to Atmo Esports right now. Again, thank you guys for being here on a Saturday. We really appreciate you. To all the people who came in and gave comments today, thank you as always, because you guys are the ones that make this show, and we really appreciate you. Hopefully we'll see you guys on tomorrow. If not, we'll see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Peace, love, and soul. We love you. See you soon. Take care. Bye.